for joining us for yet another episode of Faces of ALX SE show. Here we're all about telling the amazing stories of our learners in our programming and development programs. Currently we have ALX front end, ALX backend, which is 6 months, and then we have the ProDev backend, ProDev front end. So, and then also there is the ALX AI starter kit. My name is Joy Otieno. I'm going to be your host. Today I'm joined by Michael, who is currently enrolled in the ProDev backend program. But before I say so much, let me bring on board Michael to introduce himself. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael from Zimbabwe. I was fortunate enough to do the first ALX SE program, and I learned a lot of skills. And I've even deployed an active website, which is currently being used by a real company. So thank you for that.
Amazing. And then, you know, it's like the trouble from software engineering. ALX 12 months program was not enough, so you decided to come back for ProDev. How has it been? Has it been intense like the software engineering program, or is there, like, you know, better room for breathing?
Initially, the ProDev was quite packed with so many concepts to learn. The first one that I did, it was actually, I was one of the earlier cohorts, so it was the 1 year, not the 6 months. So
Right.
yes, the ProDev it was packed. I did do a few things that I'd already covered in the first program. So I'm guessing it's because the people in the 6 months didn't exactly do the same. But it is quite intense. But one of the issues I was having was issues with scalability of my applications. Like whenever they had many users, you get a slowdown in how the application works. So I wanted to learn about things like containerization with Docker and Kubernetes. So I'm still working on that because we are in the time where we are at that time when we do the Nexus project, where you have to build an API and deploy it and apply everything you in the program. So,
all right. So before even we go into the content of the ProDev program, where did you hear about it, and what pulled you to apply to the ProDev backend?
okay, so with the ProDev backend, what I do is occasionally I go on the ALX site since I finished the first program. Occasionally, I go on the ALX site to see if there are any new programs where I can learn a couple of new skills to upgrade my expertise. So when I was on the site, that's when I saw, and then at the time I was trying to learn Docker, and then I was on the actual list of things that you could learn through ProDev. So then I decided to apply for ProDev. It was actually an interesting story. I actually applied, and then I didn't get it.
Oh wow!
And then I sent them an email, and they said eligibility issues and everything. And then I went through all the list of requirements, and then I sent them all my documents. So the thing is, this is the last year that I could get into that program because of my age. Next year I'll be too old, you know? So I was like, you know what? This is my last year. I don't know what you're going to do, but I have to get into this program, you know?
That's interesting.
And so they reevaluated my application and they gave me an opportunity.
Amazing. Wow. The power of pushing and, you know, vouching for yourself, advocating for yourself. You don't take a no for a no.
No, it was actually one of the key concepts that they taught us in the first project when saying do bad things, you know, don't like not because the one of the key concepts that we learned in the first program was that nothing worthwhile is ever easy. So if you take the first no every time, then you're never going to get anything.
True, very true. All right, then you got into the ProDev program. Take us through your experience from onboarding all the way now and some of the concepts that you have covered.
Okay, so generally in the onboarding, we had that onboarding meeting when they were just giving us an outline of the program, and they're telling us about the meetings from, because we've had a couple of meetings with speakers coming in, telling us about the industry, telling us we can network and a few skills that we need just to get that first job, right? And what the main purpose of the ProDev, it doesn't mean that you're like 100% professional. But basically, what they're trying to do is give you the skills that are above an entry-level developer. So that you're automatically going to get that mid-level position. But it gives a much better chance of getting those entry-level positions because you've got most of the skills that you're going to learn in that entry-level position. That's if you take the time to learn it properly. One of the biggest issues I've had is so much documentation to read through, tons and tons and tons. And the challenge is I'm doing a university degree at the same time, so and a job. So
Oh, wow. That's like a little cocktail.
it is. But the nice thing is, since I'm doing a software development degree somewhere else,
Yeah, they complement.
some of the topics they overlap. So sometimes you find that when I'm doing school stuff, I'm like, oh, but I've learned this at ALX, and I'm doing some ALX stuff. I'm like, oh, but I did this at school, you know. So sometimes it helps, but sometimes it's overwhelming because it's a lot at the same time. But one of the most important tools that I've learned actually is you know anything like whenever you do any sort of professional course, right? There's this issue where you can get overwhelmed sometimes because you're working. After work, you're tired, and that's when you're trying to read. That's one of the biggest challenges I've had. Like I'm finished work, I'm trying to read ALX, and my brain is just not working. And you're going through all this documentation. So what I'll do sometimes to understand that documentation, I would like go through the documentation, get it into something like ChatGPT, and then I'll say, ChatGPT, can you summarize this documentation? Explain these concepts to me. When I've got a rough understanding of the concepts from the AI, and then I go back and read the documentation again, because it's easier to understand when you've been given the key points. You know, I think that helped me quite a lot. And one like
You talked about things like containerization and Docker and you know, I had this optimization of your code. Are those some of the concepts that you've covered?
yes, we have actually we did scripting in Linux, just learning how to create bash scripts and automate processes in Linux, and then we did Git actions where you can automate deployments through GitHub. It's a system where you've got your script, which determines how the thing is going to be built, the tests that are going to be done, and then if it fails, it gives you a notification. If it passes, it's pushed through to production. So you can automate all of that stuff. And one of the most important things I've learned that even though you can write tests, there is no test that is 100% bug proof. You can eliminate as many things as you can think of, but you cannot eliminate everything. So that's the number one thing. But you have to try and make it as conclusive as possible. But one of the concepts I've learned is there's a limitation to how much testing you can do for your software, because you have to strike a balance between the amount of tests that you can do and the cost of testing and how quickly you need to get the thing to the market. Because you see, for smaller companies, they might not have as much
Consequences.
yeah, like they might not have much freedom to do tests because they're limited budget. And if it's a high competitive market where you have to get the product to market very quickly, right? You're also limited timeline. So it's also about that. And the other thing is we also learned about understanding how to convert that business logic into actual code. That's very important. Now, I chose backend because I saw a lot of concepts on the ProDev backend, which I figured that these might probably be a lot more difficult for me to learn on my own. You know, front end there are a lot of courses out there where you can learn, even on YouTube, where you can learn a lot of front end things, right? But back end, there's not as much resources available. They are available, but the reason why I chose that is because there's an opportunity where you can interact with the mentors. If you have an issue, you can ask in the community. You know, if you have problems, and people will advise you. What I've actually made a WhatsApp group with some of the guys who are on the program. I try to look who are willing, and we actually discuss some of the concepts. And whenever you have problems, we are doing the same project, someone has probably come across documentation that can help you. Like if you see that it's full of links to documentation, you're stuck here, this is what happened. So one of the rules we have in the group is you don't show anyone your code, but what you do is show them the resources that can help them to figure it out by themselves.
Amazing. So will you say the community has played a big role in both your journeys with the ALX, with the SE 1 year and now with ProDev?
Oh, yes. Actually, I'm still friends with some of the guys who I did the first program with. And I've actually project with one of the other guys. They were doing another project. They asked me to help out with some of the stuff. And with those connections, and some of them have even given me links to jobs. I mean, I haven't landed any of them yet, but the fact that you got that network and connections, I think one of the most important things from ALX is the network that you get.
Amazing. You were talking to me earlier about why you are very focused on Docker content and learning about containerization because you are working on this project for Airbnb. Maybe you can tell us a little about that.
Okay, so generally, most of all the deployments I've done, I haven't used any other deployment tools like with a graphical user interface. I've been doing all my deployments on VPS servers, like Linux servers, right? And sometimes you have too many things running within the same server. So the thing is, why I wanted to learn Docker is so that I can learn how to isolate different parts of my system when I'm deploying an application, so that if I want to upgrade a certain section of the program, I can upgrade it in installation and test it, and then just connect the rest of the program to that new container, you know. And for scalability, like one of the things I learned about is like how you can use Kubernetes to automate processes, like how you can create worker processes to handle extra traffic. Like it can work much. Like I'm not proficient at this yet. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But I now know what the concept is, and I can further into it. So in terms of traffic management with Docker and Kubernetes, it's a lot easier. And also when you're in your application, like there's something that I learned. It's now I'm not sure if it's all ALX or it's mixed with my school stuff, but I'm going to say it anyway. So there's a concept called blue-green deployment, where you can have where you have one Git branch being your main production, your original application. When you need to release a new version of an application, you can release the new version while the old one is still active. And what you can do is when you feel that this new version of the application is ready, you can switch the traffic from the old version to the new version, and you keep the old one running in case you have problems with the new one. Now, a lot easier to do with Kubernetes, because now with Kubernetes, you just create a new, I think it's called a pod. I'm forgetting the name, but anyway, you just move the traffic from one to the next one, to the new one. And if you have issues, it's easy to redirect the traffic to the old system. So I'm still getting like right now, as we are speaking, I'm still going back into Docker and Kubernetes, because one of the biggest issues I had is the amount of time we had to do to finish the assignments. It's very demanding. You have to be disciplined. You have to want it. But if you want it, you put in the effort, you'll get the result.
You have to want it, and if you want it, you'll put in the effort. Project Nexus is coming up. It's like a grand and a big deal. How are you feeling about that? Are you excited? Have you found a front-end partner yet?
Not yet. Actually, I was still just going through the materials, and I'm still thinking what I want to do, and I haven't been able to get a front-end partner yet, but this is what I'll be working on for the next 2 days. Hopefully by day and tomorrow I'll have a partner, and we would have decided what we're going to build.
All right. So having gone through the 12-month SE program, and now you're going through the ProDev backend, have you seen your skills change? Is there value, or is it the same thing? What will you tell about somebody who's doubting, like, is there anything more to learn after the 1 year software engineering program?
Okay, so the 1 year software engineering program gets you to a point where you can build an application and deploy an application, right? Um, you can make a working thing that people can actually use. But now with the pro dev, you learn the best practices. You learn
Mm.
how to build optimized applications. You learn how to build high performance applications. So I feel like there was a lot of value in pro dev. I feel like if I was starting from zero to pro dev, I would not have been able to manage it. So I feel ProDev is a good build up from the SE foundation.
But you must have like a basis, a foundation.
Yes,
You can't
ProDev is
be beginner.
you can do without a background.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Okay.
a foundation.
All right. What was your background, Michael? Were you always like in tech, or did you pivot into this
Oh, I decided to change careers. I actually have a degree in geology and chemistry.
biology,
No, geology and chemistry, minerals, rocks, mine,
theology,
geology with a G.
or geology and chemistry? Okay.
Yeah. The thing is, I realized something that's happening. What's happening in the world right now is we're experiencing a technical revolution. And
Mm-hmm.
I've come to realize a lot of the work that we'll be doing in the field, you're going to be replaced by machinery at some point.
Yeah.
So I decided to go into tech because I feel like there's more years before the AI takes over.
It's not going to take over. People who upskill themselves, AI engineers, AI professionals are the ones who are going to replace us, because at the end, the machines need somebody to run them and somebody to, to train them.
That is true, but the thing is, I've come to understand one thing that a lot of people don't understand.
Mhm,
AI is not like a singular solution for everything. You know,
mhm,
it's
mhm,
like a size fits all shoe. You know, and
mhm,
you've got situations where you have. I did another program with a company with an organization called Epitech Futures. It's called Applied Artificial Intelligence, where I got an understanding of how AI works. Like I did that program during the break between the SE and the ProDev. I did another program in between.
mhm.
So I learned quite a bit from that program, and I realized that AI, the quality of the prompt that you give,
Yeah,
the quality of the result that you get. So for you to be able
exactly.
to use AI effectively, right?
Yeah.
You need more like in development, to use AI in development, you need to
Mm,
know about development. You need to be able to see that, oh no, this code that is giving me. Like sometimes when I'm doing my personal project and I need
yeah.
maybe a bit of boilerplate code from the AI, I would ask AI to generate a bit of boilerplate code. And sometimes you
Mhm.
look at the, you know, something is wrong, and then you ask it, isn't this supposed to be that? And then it says, oh, sorry, and then it fixes the problem.
Yeah.
So at a point where someone who has no development in knowledge can just go to an AI and say, make me a website. That's never going to work. Maybe
Yeah.
it is in the future, but right now, it's not happening.
Yeah. All right, amazing. Thank you so much, Michael. It has been amazing speaking to you and seeing your enthusiasm and your excitement about the ProDev Backend program. But before we let you go, what will be your final words of wisdom, advice to anyone who will be listening to this podcast?
Okay, so what I would say is for anything that you want to do in life, the only thing that's stopping you is yourself. You are your own agent. So if you decide to do something, one of the things that I've seen in the one of the skills I've learned in most recent years is the ability to see things through. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people have good ideas,
Mm-hmm.
a lot make good plans, and a lot of people are starting things,
Mm-hmm.
but people are normally good at seeing things through to the end. I
Mm-hmm.
can just with a short story of a personal experience of mine, which
Mm-hmm.
might be someone else. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I teach English online.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's flexible enough to allow me to learn new skills while I'm getting a reasonable income. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was teaching on English online, the first company that I worked for, it was a scam. I worked for them for 2 months.
Oh
They
wow.
didn't do anything. They got the money, right? And
Oh
then the
wow.
company did. But I tried again, and then I got into another company, and then I
Mm-hmm.
eventually built a student base, and now I earn an income that's quite high compared to most people in the country at the moment, you know.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
But it's because I didn't give up. Because
You
after
saw it through. Yeah.
exactly, because after that big scam, that first disappointment, I could have given, and
Yeah.
I would have I was in the past.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
All
The
right.
power of seeing it through. I think that illustration puts it into perspective. And you said a powerful thing that, you know, the SE and even ProDev right now, like the timelines are very crazy. But if you really want it, you will put in the effort. You will see it through. I think that's an amazing place to, you know, finish our conversation. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us, guys. If you've been listening in, I hope you have gotten an insight about what the ProDev backend program is about. So if you are hesitating on whether you should apply or not, I hope that this puts it into perspective and clarifies for you. I've been your host, Joy Atieno Tieno. Until next time, follow us. We are across all social media on X, Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Substack, on Spotify, on YouTube, on TikTok. We are everywhere. Until next time, stay safe and always remember to be kind.